we are here in this place and everywhere in the country where we're celebrating this to think about the victims of humanity. It's all about the animals, the sentient beings, that is a memorial event. And because of that, I want to talk only, not about me, but about the most forgotten victims of humanity, even within the animal rights movement. Because we hardly ever talk about them. The insects. I want to talk about the insects because they are very close to my heart. That's how I became a vegan. A wasp made me vegan, not a sheep. So we exploiting insects all over the place. I'm not a utilitarian. So for me, one suffering of one individual matters. I don't need to count to be able to care. But I know that people sometimes only react, only pay attention to you if you give them numbers. So I'm going to give you numbers to give you the dimension of how much they suffer. So we use them for all sorts of purposes. We use them in vivisection. Fruit flies are used a lot in vivisection. About 100 million fruit flies die every year in the world just for experiments of research and medical research. But then we also use them for fabric, for silk, the mulberry moth to produce silk. It takes about 6,000 moths to be boiled alive to produce just 1 kilogram of silk. Altogether in the world is about 840 million moths are killed just to produce silk. And of course, we vegans don't use silk, or you use other versions of silk. People eat them too. About 2,000 species, different species of insects are eaten around the world. And could be crickets, could be mealworms, could be cockroaches. It is about 1 to 1.2 trillion animals or insects are killed for consumption just alone. They also use them for pigments. Cochineal is an insect, a bug, a hemiptera, that is used for carmine, which is this red pigment that is used in confectionery and things like that. Also, trillions of animals every year of them are killed every year just to produce a pigment, a red pigment that you can get anywhere else. Of course, vegans, we don't consume anything that has carmine. The lac bug produces resins and lacs. Also, trillions of them are killed every year just for that industry. And the industry that produces honey and wax kills about 37 trillions of bees. Bees or exploits, not always killed, but they always exploit. Every colony of bee that keeps producing bees and they have to work hard to produce more honey because we steal the honey from them, they are exploitation. 37 trillion of them. If we add them all together, we're talking about 50 trillion of insects are the victims every year of humanity. But that only counts the one we exploit directly, because we also directly kill with pesticides many more. Substance is designed to kill invertebrates, insects, and arachnids and others like that. If we add them all together, we're talking about quadrillions of individuals. Each one wants to live. Each one has hope and aspirations and thoughts and ideas and dreams. And quadrillions. 1 quadrillion is 1 million billion of individuals. So this is so huge that if we just compare it with the animals that we care most in animal rights, like the vertebrates and the fishes, if we just use all the vertebrates together, we only exploit about, well, only is a lot, but it's about 2 to 3 trillion. And if we only think about terrestrial mammals and birds, then it's only between 7 and 100 billion. So that's only 0.025% of all the victims. 0.025% of the victims are the ones that we often spend most of our time campaigning to protect. And the rest, we tend to forget them. I'll give you an example of comparison, how small that percentage is. If you think in all the hospitals in the NHS in the UK, that tiny percentage is the equivalent of only curing 2 patients every hospital a year. This is how much how much effort we put in looking after animal rights, considering the animal rights should actually be thinking as insect rights, because 99.9% of the victims of humanity are insects. So in this day of remembrance, I hope that perhaps next year, if I come again, I might see a placard or a sign with a bee or a butterfly or a bug. Thanks very much.